break your commitments? Do you sometimes have life shows up, something interrupts it, something unexpected comes in, some mishap, some challenge comes in from out left field and you didn't expect it, and now it interrupts the commitment that you made to yourself and to others? In this episode of the Automated Millionaire video/podcast, we'll be talking about the commitments we make and how we sometimes invariably end up breaking them when life shows up and unexpected events occur. Hi, I'm Mikael Pitsner. I help small and medium-sized businesses, and I help the business owners and their team produce a better company, make higher performance, which basically spells into making more money and doing so with speed. I do it without them having to work harder. In actual fact, it makes it a lot easier for them. And I do it by using a proven and tested system that I call the Automated Millionaire Business System. You can learn more about that system if you visit my website, theautomatedmillionaire.com. But for now, let's go back to our talk about the commitments that we make and when we break them. So you may, if you are returning or a viewer, listener, or if you're keen here, you may have noticed that yesterday I didn't actually post an episode. And you see, when I launched this channel over a month ago, I promised myself, I committed myself to posting an episode a day. And today we are marking I believe it's the 39th episode. And you would find that yesterday I didn't actually post one. When I commenced this channel here, I knew that that would be a stretch for me to actually make a commitment and make that commitment to post every single day. But I also knew that, hey, I want this badly, and I want it because my why is big. What is my why? Well, my why is that I have been an entrepreneur all my adult life. I've been a business owner, I've been an employee on many different levels of the companies. I have been a consultant, business consultant, and a business turnaround agent. I've helped hundreds of companies all over the United States, all over Canada, of all kinds of industries, of all kinds of backgrounds and all kinds of sizes. And I know that the expertise and the experience that I have can help a lot of people. I also believe that entrepreneurs and business owners, they take extra risks, they do extra things, and I really empathize so highly with them. I've been one, I am one, and I believe that the difference we make in the world is so huge, not just because we change the livelihoods of ourselves if we, are somewhat successful, but we cater to, ourselves and our spouses and our children and our families and so on. But we also actually help many, many more people by all the jobs that we form and create. So now they have a livelihood, and that ripples into positive effects for them, their families, and maybe even their extended families. We also have positive ripple effects by all the commerce that we produce, by selling our products, buying materials, buying expertise, buying help, buying, transportation, distribution, whatever it is. And so all our ripple effects extends into all our vendors as well. Collectively speaking, the ripple effect of all entrepreneurship is so astounding. It's also, as I have mentioned in a previous time, I mentioned that I believe a lot of the innovation and a lot of the positive development that we see in technology and in experiences and so many more things actually stem from private entities and private endeavors in the entrepreneurial world, from the companies around us and so on. But I knew it was going to be a stretch for me to actually live up to this commitment. It's a commitment that I made to my audience. And yes, I haven't actually made it announced publicly before actually now. And it comes after I broke my commitment, right? So I carried it on, posting 38 days straight. And then on the 39th, I had a mishap. And I kind of said, I can't do a video today. I'll have to skip today. And I also made this commitment to myself. And at the end of the day, that's equally important. As much as I want to be there all for everybody else, for all the entrepreneurs and so on, it really has to start with me. Because if I don't commit to myself and show up and so on, I can't make it happen. right? And the same thing, and this is why I want to emphasize that, same thing for you. You want to show up to the world, you want to deliver upon something, you want to do something because you have a good why out there. But the commitment starts with you. If you don't show up, none of it comes to fruition, right? So for me to break my own commitment is something that I did not want to see happen, and yet it did. Now you may recall that in the last episode we spoke about that I had my website hacked. And yes, that was very disruptive. And after about a day's work from my hosting side, who were reinstalling all my files from backups and so on, all my files, all my websites and all the documentation, everything in there was basically wiped off the slate. It was basically deleted. The whole account was empty, so to speak. So they would have to find a backup, which thankfully we had, fairly recent, and then reinstall the whole thing. But after almost a day's work of that, they came back to me and said, because of the time it takes, and it does take a long time. It's not just push a button, because first of all my files, they amount to almost 370,000 files. So I was astounded when I saw that figure. But that's pretty much all the files in various websites, and all of my websites are on the same account. So they hack one, they hack all of them. That's a little bit of a tap on my shoulder to rethink that protocol. At any rate, they stopped the process, and I was like, yeah, well, I can't wait, because hey, this is, whenever I approach you, I say, go to my website, go to the automatedmillionaire.com. And what good is it if you go there and you are on the right spot, the right URL, but it's the white screen of death? That's right. You come to the website and it was all white. There was nothing there. And so thankfully I knew how to fix it, because I've been through the process once before. And so I went through it and went through the work and so on. And quite frankly, it took me a while. They're all up and running, I'm happy to say. They're all cleaned up, I'm happy to say. And they're all heightened security now, I'm happy to say. And as I said in the previous episode, thankfully it never affected anything that of the programs that my clients have bought and are members of, because that is hosted on its own secure server and has a bunch of heightened security around it, because that's my deliverable to you. I don't want that ever to go down. I don't want the other things to go down, but at least I want to make sure that if you buy with me, then you don't lose your access to it. So anyways, it really disrupted my life. And, quite frankly, after the work was done and so on, it's like, I'm beat. I don't think I can get in front of the camera. I don't think I can do it. Also, on top of that, I had, 4 kids in the house, my wife and all that, and that disruption and so on. It didn't make for me to ideal grounds for it. So I broke a cardinal rule of my own, which is, if you make a commitment, you show up to commitment, despite that the circumstances surrounding your life or surrounding your situation is not optimal for it. So I wanted to use this particular episode to talk about this commitment, of how we are breaking it, and we let ourselves down, and we let our results down, and we let our goals and the outcomes that we're looking for, we let all of it down when we don't show up and when we don't stay the course of commitment. So I wanted to give you a couple of thoughts about what we do to strengthen our commitment and what we do to make this happen. If you recall, if you studied some of my free training on this system that I have, I speak about commitment as one of the secrets. The commitment that we get from our employees about, hey, they are committed to do X, Y, Z, to deliver upon what they are in charge of, what they can produce in their company, so that you, collectively speaking, can get the result that you all agreed on is possible, and what you agreed upon you want to make happen, and what you agreed on, this is what we need to do. And so we spoke about how that's incredibly important that they commit to you. It's incredibly important when I go in as a business consultant that you commit to the goals that you want, because otherwise they're no good. I mean, I usually make a a little exercise. After you tell me all the goals, I say, well, what about this one? What if this happens? Can we maybe skip that? I mean, how important is it that you make this money so you can get this car? How important is the car really? And if I sense it's gonna be like you want it, but you're not committed to it, then I say, well, then just let's take it off the chart. Let's make sure that what we're committing to is really important to us. Let's make sure we engage with that why. Why is it important? Why is it important? It's not just to get the money, because the money will never be enough, right? We always want more. What is important? Well, maybe it is that, hey, I've been poor, or I've been struggling, or I've been bankrupt before, and it was terrible, or I lived out of my car, whatever terrible it is, and I don't want to be there again. I cannot be there again. I will commit to myself not to go through that again. I will not put my family and my children, my spouse and my children in that position. Or I have 200 employees. I want to commit that I don't need to fire anybody because of our poor performance in the company. I want to commit that we are increasing our performance so that all of them will keep their jobs and everybody will have their livelihood, and then we progress from there. So what is that why? The more important the why is, the more you will be able to keep your commitment despite of any outside interference. In life, and certainly as entrepreneurs, I've argued before that we kind of place ourselves in front of a lot of challenges, and that means that it's much easier to be tested on our commitment. So the more we keep saying, well, okay, I showed up today for my commitment, I showed up tomorrow for my commitment, I showed up for all these past days for commitment. So I believe that you actually gain a certain strength and resilience to stay the course. When I look at myself personally, for instance, in the area of physical training, I like to be physical, I like to be in a good shape. And right now I'm actually out of shape and so on because I've been too lax, I've been too lazy, I've been too focused on, hey, I need this fixed and I need that working and so on. And so I've been too involved in working rather than, okay, I need to make sure that I also take care of my physical health, because that's also gonna help get me a better result in my work life, right? So I became lax, and what I found is often that I have a stop button and I have a go button. So I don't do anything for like 3 months. I don't run or bicycle or anything, and then I finally get to it, and then I get on the treadmill and everything is going really well. I'm surprised. Oh my God, I thought I was really badly out of shape. I maybe not quite run as fast as I used to, but this is going well. My breathing is good, my cardio is good. Let's go, right? And invariably I run too fast, so the following day I wake up and I'm sore, and maybe I even ran so much that I tore in the muscle, and so now I can't actually run for 3 weeks. I broke it. I can't run for 3 weeks. I've got a tore muscle. I may be able to get on the bicycle, and maybe if I'm not using too many excuses, I'll do that, right? So invariably what I want to say is like, okay, first of all, we need to get very strong on what's the why. Why are we doing it? We need to commit to making that happen to the audience or whoever it is that we're serving, because typically speaking, we are willing and able to give more to everybody else than ourselves. But so we want to have that commitment solid, but we also want to have that commitment to ourselves. And so that commitment is not necessarily, hey, so I can have a better life, but it really is very much like, well, I'm doing a lot of good and I don't want to let people down. Like for instance, my experience and my expertise and so on can help a lot of people, and I've devoted myself that, hey, I want to do that because I know what it is like to be in that situation where business is not good, where I'm struggling, where I'm not meeting my obligation, and where I'm fearing, am I gonna lose the business? Am I gonna lose the house? Am I gonna be a failure at home? In my, being the big man of the house, serving the family and making sure all the bills are paid and we live nicely and exclusively and so on. Or, am I gonna fail all of it? So I've been in all of that pain. So my why is really strong. But I want to make that commitment solid with myself that, okay, remember why you're doing it, but also remember that, hey, I need to stay the course. If I break one day, it's much easier to break the next day. So that one day yesterday when I didn't post, it really upset me. And it really upset me because at the end of the day, I also know that all my excuses are just that. They're just excuses. I could have shot an episode, even with kids and family around, or I could have gone somewhere else and shot the episode. I was tired, I was beat, I was distracted, I had too many things, and I was like, I don't know what to talk about because my mind is all over the place. But you know what? Those are just excuses, because at the end of the day, I could have talked about exactly what I'm talking about now. Staying the course, right? Being committed, having in front of you, what is the why? Why is it important to do this? You probably don't care, honestly, about this episode that I missed. Most of my audience probably doesn't. This whole channel is so new that we still have relatively few people even visiting. But at the end of the day, you never know what this one episode might have that could really be very effect-giving to somebody and have a very big impact on somebody and for their lives and the lives that they touch. So it really is important. I also find that when we take one excuse, it's easier to accept the next excuse, and next excuse, and next excuse. And the one thing I've known about excuses is that they are plentiful. There's always a ton of them. And they all sound really good. And at least we are very good at telling ourselves that these excuses are valid points and we are okay to let go. We are okay to accept mediocre results. We're okay to not perform. We're okay coming late. We're okay not showing up. But you know what? The high performers, they don't think like that. The high performers don't think like that. They don't take the excuses, don't accept them. And in my business system, what I'm talking about also is that I want people to commit, and I don't look for excuses. When we don't meet the result, I am not looking for the excuses. In fact, they are just plentiful, and they don't create a result for us that's any good. So what I'm really looking for when people say, well, we set this goal for this week. Last week you were supposed to deliver upon Sun. Now we have Monday. We're looking at this goal and your performance, and you came up short. And I don't go like, why didn't you do it? We agreed. I don't come and lift my finger at you. Instead, what I'm looking for is what will you do this week, which is different, and which is going to help us get the result. And then you, as the employee or the one in charge of that area, will come to me and you'll say, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to do more calls. I'm going to be on the floor more, overseeing everything. I'm going to supervise. I'm going to make these calls and make this happen. I'm going to move this. I'm going to move that. I'll drop my lunch break and move into that and catch up and so on. Whatever it is. And see, here's what's different about it. The person there on the other side is committing to you. So in this case, it's your employee is committing to you about what they will do. So they dreamt it up in their mind. They already rationalized in their mind what they can do to make it happen, and they are promising you. Now, does it mean that they'll deliver on it? No, but it's certainly much stronger than you coming to say, "Hey, listen, either you do that or you're out." Ultimately, So that's what I'm looking for. And see here, when I broke this to myself, it's much easier to skip next day. When I'm training, I'm like when I act in the sports activity, when I'm treadmilling, for instance, when I'm on the treadmill, I like to honestly go every day. And typically I go too many miles too fast, get injured, and then I'm out of the loop. So instead, now that I'm older, I'm kind of slowly learning to accept that I'll have to do very little first time and then slowly build it up. And I really hate that because I'm very impatient. I like to see big results fast, and when my cardio is up and my muscles are, I just want to go. But my ligaments and my muscles, they tear and so on, and so soon enough I'm injured when I do that. I don't have the youth flexibility anymore, so I have to accept what's the reality of things. But what I think is more important is that I commit to doing it, and then I know, because I know myself, I need to do it today, I need to do it tomorrow, and I need to do it every single day, even if it's just a little. So for instance, let's say you have had years behind your desk and years in your business and so on, and maybe you're a little out of shape, maybe you actually gotten a little fat, you're eating the wrong things and so on. And what I'm suggesting is you make a commitment to yourself. You kind of like make sure that that why is big enough. I mean, I don't want to be fat. I don't feel sexy when I have intimate ties with my spouse. I feel better when I'm slim and I'm fit. I feel fresher. I know I look better. I know I perform better. I know my business thoughts are better when I'm in physical excellent health and so on. I know I eat the wrong things, drink the wrong soda pops and so on. I'm going to commit. The why is big enough. I made sure that it's strong in me, and now I'm going to commit. And maybe you start slowly. Maybe you say, well, okay, I'm going to go half on my soda pop intake a day. I mean, I like you to not to have any, but, go half then, make a commitment, one you can stick to. And then slowly you can kind of increase the bottom, the level of how much are you adjusting. So for my commitment here, I know, like I said, when I go every day on the treadmill, I get to a point where it's like, you know what, I feel really uncomfortable not doing it. I feel mentally and emotionally and physically and everything, I feel so much better when I do my run. And when I don't do it, I get irritated. I feel bad about myself. I don't feel I'm living up to the promises I made myself. So it's easier once I'm getting going that I do it all the time, every day, right? And then as soon as I take one day off, as soon as I buy my excuse for why today it's okay that I don't do it, hey, I'm traveling, I have this, that excuses on, I'm going to skip it. I know, unfortunately, that tomorrow, I broke my promise today, and tomorrow it's much easier to break it again. And soon enough, I broke the first day, I broke the second day, soon enough I broke the week. Soon enough, it's 6 months and I haven't done anything, right? So that's what I want to make sure that we really focus on, and we really think about, like, how do we make that better? So let me just note up here quickly, by wrapping it up, let's look at, okay, so how do we do it? I think first of all, we make the why very important. Why is it so important to us that we stay the course of whatever it is that we said we wanted to do? 2 is we understand that commitment has to do with maybe a lot of other people, a great cause or something that's really important to me. And 3 is we really make sure that we cannot allow ourselves to break our own commitments, because it's kind of like a strengthening of our integrity. If we are willing to break our own commitment, the one we set ourselves, what's that going to tell about ourselves and for everything else that we do? And soon enough, we'll break it left and right, and we'll become a person of non-integrity. I believe the strongest performers in the world, they have typically a very high level of integrity. All right? They do things that they feel are the necessary things, and they do them even when they do the right things, even when people aren't looking. Right? To help the matters a little bit more, I believe visually, if we have it in front of us, it's going to help us stay the course of being committed. So let's say, for instance, you want to get on the treadmill, or you want to do a morning walk every morning, 40 minutes, to kind of like re-engage your body, get back in shape, lose some weight, and freshen up your mind, and sort through mentally things as you walk. If you have a calendar and you put a green check mark, did it this morning, next day, did it this morning, next day, did it this morning. The more green check marks you see, it's like, I don't want a red X in there. I don't want this beautiful cycle to be broken just because of something showed up in my life, something unexpected, something terrible maybe. I need to be committed to this. It's important. If I'm not healthy, if I'm not strong, if I don't survive the next 20 years, my kids are not going to have a dad for whatever length it is, and my spouse is not going to have the person who's supposed to be there and take care of her, and so on and so on. Whatever it is, right? You make sure that. But the visual, simple chart can be super powerful. So maybe a calendar in front of you. Have it in front of you where you kind of like look at it every morning, or in your office or something, so you recommit. Years ago, I used to be a person that, although I had a lot of great things in life, I had money, I had house, I had cars, I had life, I had travel, success in business, great businesses, and so on. I had a lot of good things to be grateful for, and yet I wasn't really very grateful, and I wasn't really very thankful, and I wasn't really always super happy. And what I've learned from years of studying and reading a lot of books on the subject, being grateful and having gratitude is one of the strongest suits that we can apply and adopt to ourselves to get good outcomes, to have a gratitude of life, to be grateful that we wake up every morning and be part of something, and that we have abilities and so on. And it's also one of the best avenues to actually be happy in our lives. So because I knew I didn't have it, because I knew that I failed at it, I took everything for granted. And it's kind of like when we're healthy, we typically don't think about it, we take it for granted. And then all of a sudden we get sick one day with a flu, and we feel, especially men, feel sorry for ourselves like crazy, right? So I wanted to have it, and so to help me get an attitude where it's on the forefront of my mind, even on a subconscious level, which is a whole lot of bigger discussion. Subconsciously is like so much powerful, but we have to direct the subconscious maybe with input from the consciousness. So to help that happening, what I simply did is in my phone, on my iPhone, I would put in 7 a.m. every single day. It would pling, it would come up and remind me, and I just had a word, gratitude. And that gratitude word pling every morning, 7 a.m., I didn't even need to look at the phone after a few days, right? Because I knew pling, oh, it's my gratitude. It's like, make sure you are grateful. So gratitude, okay, what can I be grateful for? Okay, this happened or that happened, or whatever it is, or even the smallest of things. But that complete constant reminder eventually consciously helps form my subconscious. So now I pretty much wake up every day and I'm happy and I'm grateful. And when life shows me bad stuff comes up in my life, some interruption, I very quickly, I may get a small glimpse of upset, but I very quickly turn it into, okay, all right, I can't stay there, and let me go into a mode of constructiveness. What can I do about it? Or what's good about this? And then I go from there. I would love to help to hear your feedback. What do you do to stay committed? What do you commit to? And how are you making sure that you don't break up on your own commitment? How do you make sure you don't break your own level of integrity? You can reach out to me. Your comments are so welcome. I implore you to send me a note on MP for Mikael Pitzner, mp@theautomatedmillionaire.com. And also, I don't know, but depending on if you're watching the video channel, then maybe you can comment there. You may be on a podcast channel that you can comment on, but most of them don't have that. So by all means, send me the email. Again, if you want to know more about my program, or especially my system that helps businesses produce at a much higher performing level, then I implore you to visit the website, theautomatedmillionaire.com. There's a free training where I actually map out what that system looks like. This was Mikael Pitzner, the Automated Millionaire. I thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it so much. I hope I'll see you in tomorrow's episode. Thank you so much.